Good morning, everyone. Just a heads up, we're going to get started in a bit. It's still 4 minutes to the hour, and even then, we'll probably give folks just a couple minutes to log on. Zach, thanks for being here. Good to see you again.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. For those of you just joining us, Zach will actually be presenting today. I'll be behind the scenes. A reminder, if you have questions throughout today's presentation, please go ahead and pop them in the Q&A tab, which I will enable right now. And then hopefully we'll get to those at the end of today's presentation. But it should be a short and sweet one, right? Like we've got some incredible content here, and we'll get started a little bit past the hour. Wow, we've got Adrian from Romania here today. Welcome. That's awesome. I see Mina's online. Thanks for being here. I'm calling in from San Francisco. It's currently 7:58 a.m. and so the sun is just shining through the window and it's quite blinding here, but when looking outside, it's really, really beautiful.
I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, so it's almost lunchtime here.
We're the only thing standing in your way between now and lunch, so.
Pretty much, I'll get through this and go grab lunch.
Perfect. Good
and
morning,
apologies in advance, everybody. I've got a little bit of a cough, so.
We forgive you. Those things, they have a way of creeping up on us. 'Tis the season, right?
It wasn't there until 2 days before going to do an online presentation, right?
Yeah. You were recently on a plane, yeah? So that
I was,
that'll get you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That'll get you. All right. Okay. Apologies for the folks who've been online. You're going to hear me repeat myself a few times this morning. Welcome, everyone who's just joining us. We're going to get started a couple minutes past the hour. But in the meantime, feel free to say hello in the chat. Let us know where you're calling in from. So far, we've got San Francisco covered, Romania, North Carolina. We'll see where else. It's a worldly group today. So London, welcome, Ivan. Good to see you, or see you virtually.
I was in London
the chat.
About 6 months ago. I went to London for the first time.
Oh, wow. India too. Wow. Yeah, we really are a worldly group today, guys. What was your favorite part, Zach, about London?
It was nice weather when I came. My favorite part was probably, I forget the name of the street, but where they have my wife was really into like the big purses and everything. So she wanted to go check that out. And my son, who is 2 years old, there's this, in front of one of the stores, there's this dragon, right? You may know what I'm talking about, Yvonne, and there's this big dragon and like as part of the mascot for the store, I guess. And my son, we stood there for maybe 45 minutes while he just kept going, wow, dragon. So that was pretty memorable. It was fun.
That's awesome. Great. Awesome. Okay. Welcome, folks. Oh, Maddie calling in from Lisbon. Wow, this is awesome. For those of you just joining us, welcome. We're going to get started in a couple minutes here. While we wait to get started, please go ahead and say hello in the chat. Let us know where you're calling in from. For those of you who aren't aware, this was a presentation that Zach took to Dreamforce, to the Dreamforce stage. So if you were there and you didn't get a chance to catch it, now's your time. But also if you couldn't attend us at Dreamforce, this is a special treat because we're bringing the content to you. It was one of our most popular sessions. So I think we're in for a really good session today. Oh my gosh, we've got someone from Ukraine as well. Welcome, Artur. Okay, and Doc, I'll hand it over to you in 2 minutes. So 3 minutes past the hour, we'll go ahead and kick things off, but I'll go ahead and share the screen and we'll get started from there.
Perfect.
Welcome, everybody. Okay. All right, folks, welcome. For those of you who just joined us, this will be my last time repeating myself, I promise. We're so glad to have you here this morning. We're going to go ahead and get started in just a minute or so. In the meantime, feel free to say hello in the chat. Let us know where you're calling in from. We'll get started here shortly. Hey, Tony, seeing a familiar face. Panama. Oh my gosh, this is incredible. I'm also so curious what time it is everywhere, but I know I'll be opening up the floodgates with that one. Abhishek, good to see you. Yes, Toronto, Canada. Okay. We're having a world tour there soon. Leonardo, welcome. Awesome. All right, people are really starting to, yeah,
I'm always looking for excuses to go places, so.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a work event, I gotta go.
Free. And it's free to attend, so.
Yeah.
Yep, Tony's over in New England. I wonder if it's beautiful there yet, if the leaves have turned already. Hey, Mahesh, good to see you. Okay, I'm gonna take myself off the screen. I'm gonna share the slides and then we'll go ahead and get started. But we're in for a treat because I think we're starting off today with a video if Google decides to behave. So we'll see. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get this thing started. Before I click play, can everyone see the screen? This should be just a black with a, okay, cool.
How are you going to prepare your business for the AI revolution? You don't want to end up malfunctioning like that bot. Funny story about that video, by the way. My son, who I was just talking about in seeing the dragon in London, I made that video on my phone using AI, obviously. Used a tool called Runway. At about 1 a.m. with my 2-year-old sleeping in my arms. So I share that because that's the reason that AI has gone mainstream, right? Is because all these corporations want to leverage AI and turn things that used to be really complex and really difficult into something much simpler and quicker. And so in order to make sure that you have the ability to leverage AI properly for your business, you want to make sure that you've laid down the foundation to accomplish that. And for me, that always starts with 3 things: your people, your process, and your data. So today, we're going to talk a little bit about that data and how we can leverage MuleSoft to unify siloed data and create harmonization amongst our systems so that we have the proper data to ground your AI with. One of the things that I think companies are finding is that the AI is only as powerful as your data, right? And so it's not going to be the companies that did the best job building their own custom LLM that come out of this introduction to AI, the next couple of years successful. It's going to be the companies that have laid that foundation and eliminated those silos amongst systems. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. So for me, this journey started at Capital Lighting. So Capital Lighting has been around, 1-800lighting.com, you may know them as. for over 100 years. And we saw all kinds of lighting fixtures, decorative lighting fixtures for residential spaces, and have always tried to, obviously, I haven't been there all 100 years, but in my time at Capital Lighting, I've always tried to be innovative. And part of that innovation has led us down several different projects, from order management, order management migration, ERP migration, point of sale implementation, PIM rebuild, you name it, we've gone through the project. But no matter what project we took on, we always felt like there was a gap. We weren't getting the most out of our data. And that's where MuleSoft came into the picture, because one of the issues that we had was not having that real-time synchronization and getting different answers when we're looking at different systems. So fast forward a few years, and the ownership at Capital Lighting actually purchased Better Design Lighting. And on its face, those sound like very similar companies, but they're actually not. So Better Design Lighting is commercial and hospitality, and a totally different customer, totally different product. And despite the differences between the companies, we found that the pain points we were having with siloed data at Capital Lighting, BDL, Better Design Lighting, was also experiencing. Those pain points were not unique to Capital Lighting. You can go next. So that led to me founding ClearPath Agency. And at ClearPath, the mission's simple. Just like we help Capital and BDL, we wanted to clear the path to growth for companies as we enter the AI revolution. And MuleSoft has been one of the best tools to do so. Next. So let's talk a little bit about, you can pause that real quick. Let's talk a little bit about the challenge of siloed data and why it's a problem. The real problem with siloed data is that you can't make decisions as a business as quickly or as accurately when the data is not in front of you. And at Capital Lighting, what that looked like for us was specifically started with customers. So when we would have our marketing team give their perception about what the customer journey was, or what the customers were feeling, or what their experience was like, that often differed from the customer experience team, which was the team that I ran, and what we saw from our perspective and what the customers were going through. And then you go talk to the sales team, of which we had three. We had our commercial sales team, our showrooms, and we had our call center. And you go talk to the sales team, and they all have a different perception of what the customer journey is and what customer sentiment is. And the interesting part was that despite all of these different departments having a different perspective, all of us had data to back it up. And so you can go ahead and play that video now. And if you don't mind making it large screen. The issue that we ran into was what you see here, where we actually have to then go find the truth. And we had to go manually find the truth. And so what you're seeing here is we pulled customer data out of ERP. Many of you are familiar with, with manual processes like this. We pulled customer data out of commerce. And now we've got to go pull that data out of CRM and cross-reference the customer data so that we can try and find out what is the truth, right? Where do these customers belong? How should they be segmented? So now we're going into different systems like you see here in Salesforce. We're writing different SQL or SQL queries, trying to pull data out and find the information that we need. There's a lot of planning that goes into it. And oftentimes, when the executive team wants data like this, and we have to go, we're on some sort of a task to go find the truth. There's a lot of time that goes into planning, okay, what am I trying to accomplish here? What data do I need to pull from each system? What's my unique identifier? How am I going to get this data? Where am I going to, what is the goal? What am I trying to do here? And the time from planning to execution of something like this, and this is just to get the data into Excel. But then of course, now we've got to do the VLOOKUPs and we've got to compare the data and find out what's the truth. The time to do this typically takes hours, but for us in particular at Capital Lighting, where we've got, 100-year-old company with e-commerce, showroom, and commercial divisions, we have a large customer base. And so in order to pull all this data, it takes a lot of time. And what we found happened was we'd have to set aside time, and sometimes it would take days or even weeks to get this executed. And by that time, the executive team already had to make a decision without the proper data in hand. And by the time we get the data, sometimes we can't even get the data. We run into a scenario where we might have made a different decision if we had that data at the time. And so I put this together just to show and illustrate the pain point that many of us on this call are already familiar with, of having to manually pull data, manually do VLOOKUPs, and try to figure out what the source of truth is from a spreadsheet, right? Now imagine if all of this data was automated and put in the decision maker's hands in real time. And so that's what we set out to solve. So the first use case that we'll cover was around, excuse me, the first use case that we'll cover was around our marketing department. And so for us, especially being a large e-commerce retailer in the lighting industry, the name of the game is capturing emails, right? You get the emails so you can market to customers, try to build some repeat business, try to build website traffic, try to bring customers back. And the game that you play, as many of you know, when you're collecting emails is, when I put a form in front of a customer, I ask the customer to fill something out, the more data I ask for, the higher the abandonment rate is. And so what that's led to in our industry is, great, we're just going to ask for the email. That's going to be the only thing that's required, at least. And so it leads to having incomplete customer profiles in your marketing platform. And so now, as we go to market to these customers, we can't create any personalized marketing. We can't leverage AI to generate personalized messages because all we have is the email, right? And while that's not always the case, it's significant enough, or it was significant enough, that it caused a problem in our ability to be able to leverage AI to do so. So what you'll see here, and you can go ahead and hit play and open it full screen. What you'll see here is we've got in our marketing platform, we've got a customer, all we have is their email. But we built integrations with MuleSoft on the back end so that when the customer created in CRM, whether that be for a pre-sales question or service or whatever, in real time, a platform event was fired using event-based architecture, and this customer was synced with our marketing platform. And so you'll see here, all of a sudden, the customer profile is completed with a name, it's synced with the CRM contact ID, and we have all this information now in both platforms so that we can, when we have an agent looking at that data, or we have AI looking at that data, we're trying to build automation, it all exists where it needs to exist, and it's easily accessible. And so that is going to be really important for us moving forward as we take on more and more AI initiatives for marketing. Now, for capital lighting, the next phase in the customer journey is often, we have a trade program. So as you can imagine, selling lighting fixtures, we work with a lot of contractors or interior designers, and we give some of them special pricing. We don't hand it out to everybody. You have to qualify, and you have to apply and be united with an agent. For us, that's really important because not only do we want to get repeat customers and get the best pricing, but we also know that if we can get them in front of our agents, they're going to have an expert to help them and make sure they're purchasing the right thing. We have lower return rates, we have higher average order values, and it's just better business all around. So here, the issue that we had before was that we have showroom, we have call center, and we have commercial team. And specifically with the showrooms and call centers, they had very different processes previously for getting a pro applicant into the system. And so what would happen in our showrooms is customer would walk in, and directly in our ERP system, if they were deemed to be a pro, our showroom would create them an ERP as a pro customer. And we had a legacy ERP that didn't have a lot of duplication rules or automation. And so that led to duplicate data and having the wrong hands in our ERP. On the call center side, we didn't have a process we didn't have any integration to our process in CRM So what we were asking our agents to do would be go log into Commerce and change the customer profile in Commerce. So now we've got our showrooms upgrading customers to that special trade pricing and segmenting them as a specific type of customer in our ERP system. We've got our call center doing it within our commerce system, and nobody sending the data back to CRM. Everything getting sent to SQL staging tables overnight with scheduled jobs that are hopefully running and synchronizing the three systems. And as you can imagine, that was not happening with the accuracy that we would want. So if you'll go ahead and play the video, Isabella, I'll show you what we have now. Using MuleSoft, what we've done, you can see here, this customer, the same customer we just looked at, does not exist as a pro. That's our flag in Commerce. They don't yet exist as a pro, but they've applied. And so the lead was created in CRM and we approved them. We determined this customer is a legitimate pro. We want to give them special pricing and build repeat business with them. So one of the things that you'll notice is in near real time within Salesforce, we have updated the customer record to a business account. We use person account for our standard customers. This is now a business account with trade pricing. So even though we've split the record type and we've made this now a business account with a contact, we were now in real time able to update Commerce so that the customer doesn't have to wait for us so that we can get them their pricing. They can go shop online. And one step further, we went back to our marketing platform and we updated all that information in our marketing platform. And we have 3 siloed systems that are communicating with each other about the customer segmentation. So we have a better customer experience because they have real time, excuse me. We got them connected to an agent and then they got real time pricing as soon as they were approved. And now they're able to build that relationship or shop on their own. And we continued down the journey of updating our marketing platform so that we can continue to build personalized marketing as we collect data on that customer. Sorry, I should have warned you, Isabella. We're doing that to me too. Now, customers are not the only APIs that we've launched with MuleSoft. That's where we started because we're a customer-centric company using customer-centric products like Salesforce. But other MuleSoft solutions that we've built at both Capital and Better Design Lighting are as follows. So we've got at Capital Lighting, one of our most impactful, one of my favorites has been the ability to create real-time product on the fly. So at Capital Lighting, we basically have access to, with relationships with the company been around for 100 years, we have access to just about any vendor in the lighting industry, right? So we have all kinds of products that we sell. Now you can imagine that's a very massive catalog, right? At any given time, we have over 500,000 items live on and active on our website. And so what will happen from time to time is either a corrupt vendor data feed or just product that wasn't shared with us, or for whatever reason, a customer will reach out and want to purchase something that's not on our website. And so we needed a way to speed up the process of getting that product in our in our system so we could sell it. So what was previously happening was we were having to submit a ticket to our data team. Our data team was having to get with the vendors, try and collect all the data that they need to get it on the website. And we had to wait for it to get on the website so we could transact. And what my call center was reporting back to me was that process was taking sometimes weeks, right? Sometimes we couldn't get the data we needed to put it on the website, but we still could have transacted. But because we didn't have a picture, we couldn't transact because it didn't exist anywhere. Now we're having to manually try to go create it in ERP. At the end of the day, the call center was reporting, we're losing sales. The website's on a competitive site. It's not on ours. Customer likes working with me, but they're tired of waiting for me to get it on site. So they went and purchased elsewhere. So what we've done now is in Salesforce, we have a little mechanism we put together just to create product data, or just create a product in Salesforce with the minimal data required. And now we're checking that product data for duplicates. So we're never creating a duplicate. And we're firing a platform into MuleSoft. MuleSoft's taking that data, going to our PIM system, inserting the records it needs to, because that's split into multiple records. Our PIM system spits a SKU back out for us, an internal SKU. MuleSoft grabs that, sends it back to Salesforce, and creates the record in ERP. So now, what used to take weeks and we lose sales happens in no more than 7 seconds. So within 7 seconds, that product is now ready to be sold. So while we have the customer on the phone or chat, we're able to create the product and transact. We're no longer losing those sales. So that was one of the funnest ones we did that had a real material impact to our revenue. And at Better Design Lighting, there was primarily one use case there, which was they've got a robust project management and sales process, being in the commercial and hospitality space, and your traditional ERPs don't support that. So they needed to implement a CRM, so we implemented Salesforce, but now they needed to get all of this data from CRM down into ERP. And this data includes the customer, any rep agencies they're working with, commissions, products, freight, sales orders, projects, all of this different data needs to get sent and needs to go in a specific order into ERP. So because this piece of data is dependent on this piece of data. And so we've used MuleSoft to go, great. Now that we hit a point in Salesforce where it's time to send it down to Acumatica, we trigger a platform event, MuleSoft listens for it, grabs the data that was in the platform event, runs a couple of queries and pulls the rest of the data that it needs into an array out of Salesforce. And now it goes through a methodical process of importing all of that data into our ERP system step by step. And now what used to take or would take hours on a large order, it could take 4 to 6 hours to manually key all of that in, now happens in less than 10 seconds. And so those are some of the other solutions we've been able to use MuleSoft for. And having, having all of that data synced in real time does more than just build efficiencies, it builds scalability. And so the impact that all of that has on our AI initiatives is we're no longer trying to figure out, okay, what's our source of truth? What's our system of record? We've got all of that strategically laid out. We're no longer trying to figure out, okay, when you look at this system, are you getting this answer versus when you look at this system, are you getting this answer? Because when you do that, as we know, the unstructured nature that AI and these LLMs work in, you're going to get very different answers if you're providing very different data. So now that we've unified these systems and harmonized the data, we can now ground our AI solutions in that data and get very real material results, whether it be for service or for sales. So now we know when marketing is looking at a customer profile and sales service is looking at a customer profile and our different sales departments are, we're all seeing the same thing despite where we're looking at it from. And we know that if we treat AI as another additional team or an additional employee, that it is also looking at that same unified record, no matter where we're grounding it with that data. With that, I'll open it up to any questions. And again, I apologize about the cough, guys. I literally just came up right before this call.
No apologies needed. Thank you so much, Zach. That is really enlightening. And it's also so cool, I think, especially for our Mule audience, to see what the back end looks like with folks who are using Salesforce day to day. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. Folks, if you have questions for Zach, I know he's very thorough, but if you have questions for Zach, go ahead and pop them in the Q&A tab, or just go ahead and chat or type them into our chat, and I can go ahead and share those out. Let's see. I don't see anything coming through just yet, but I do like to give folks a few seconds to gather their thoughts. Oh, Ranjiv, I see that you want presenter mode. Do you mind typing into the chat here? Okay. Apologies, everyone. I'm in the office today, so if you're picking up background noise. All right, I don't see him coming through. That's okay. I'll give about 30 more seconds for any last minute questions, concerns to come in. Yeah, thorough. That's what I would say too, Tony. So good. Oh, we have a question in the chat. Archer. Okay, so what was the role of AI and where is it used? I can see MuleSoft is used, but without what are the details?
Yeah, so for us, The goal was not necessarily to use, although there are different things you can do with AI using MuleSoft. The goal was to set the stage for us to leverage AI. So we're using a lot of different AI tools. Not all of our AI is going to run through MuleSoft, right? So we are experimenting with Agentforce, right? We do use ChatGPT. We've got some marketing tools that we've now implemented into our AI. AI marketing tools that we've implemented into our tech stack. But the goal with MuleSoft was, and this started about 1.5 years ago, to set the stage to be able to leverage whatever AI tools that we wanted. Because what we found early on was we're getting drastically different results because our data was so siloed. And so it's not so much that we were using MuleSoft specifically for the AI piece, it's that we were using MuleSoft to get us ready to leverage AI.
Yeah, I couldn't say that better myself. We actually, as a company, we feel like we're in the best position possible in the age of AI because you absolutely need to get your data right? Like if you want trustworthy information to feed, whether it's your Salesforce model or maybe it's another LLM, like you absolutely are going to need data from those disparate sources, and you need to make sure it's correct, right? Rajiv is asking, can we do any performance testing at Dreamforce? I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. But maybe we can talk offline, Rajiv, unless Zach, you know what he's referring to. But I don't know about performance testing at Dreamforce.
I'm not sure about performance testing at Dreamforce either. So, but yeah, we can certainly chat offline.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so then Archer is also curious why you decided to use MuleSoft. Could you just implement using the Data Cloud solution? And have you considered any pros and cons for using MuleSoft versus Data Cloud?
Definitely. So, great question. We are very actively looking at adding Data Cloud. We aren't currently using it, but adding Data Cloud for different use cases. At Capital specifically, our needs were much more robust and specific than what Data Cloud was able to execute for us. We needed a more robust, true iPaaS system to be able to do some of the things that we want to do. Because I kind of showed you, I don't want to call it high level because I know I got into some thorough details there, but I showed you a few use cases. But if you look at our entire enterprise architecture, we're talking about a pretty massive tech stack, right? And a lot of different integrations needing to be done. And not all of those have connectors in Data Cloud yet. Some of them maybe never will. And a lot of it has a lot of complex logic involved in it as well. So for us, using a traditional iPaaS or a modern iPaaS system made the most sense. We did evaluate multiple iPaaS systems. We've used Informatica in the past. We looked at Boomi. So we've looked at a bunch of different iPaaS systems, but we just found that the most robust and most API-led solution, which is what we were looking for, was hands down MuleSoft, and that's why we ended up going with MuleSoft.
And folks seem to be really curious about the AI component. So could you speak to a little bit of, around what your plans are for maybe implementing more AI, or just underscoring what you've already talked to?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's the first one's the most simple use case, right? Which is where we're starting is with service and marketing, right? So customer service and marketing. I think that's where everybody's starting for the most part, right? And with content creation for social media. But for customer service, for us, over 40% of our inquiries are around order status. And so if we could shed the 40% of those chats and phone calls to instead be run through an AI solution like Agentforce, then we can save ourselves a lot of time and a lot of headache. And as we grow the business, we won't have to grow headcount as much, right? And our employees will have a better experience because they won't have to deal with the most common, we'll call them boring questions. They get to deal with some of the more sophisticated stuff. And so that's where we're starting there. And that's why it's really important that we built that customer 360 view where the AI knows, hey, this customer chatting in is this customer, and here are all of their orders, and here's everything else that they have. So that's why we tried to bring together the customer. The other phase, I guess, parallel that we're implementing is with marketing, right? And being able to generate personalized marketing and trying to do that when we're not using sorry, Salesforce, but we're not currently using Marketing Cloud, right? We're using a standalone platform, Klaviyo, and trying to leverage any AI tools that Klaviyo has to offer or any external API AI tools that we're using became difficult when all we had was the customer email, or when Klaviyo was unaware if the customer was a residential pro or a commercial customer or just your standard retail customer. So being able to segment those customers was key for us to be able to start leveraging more personalized marketing to our customers through Klaviyo. On top of that, the real-time sync with Salesforce, where we're handling order management, we now know, excuse me, we now know when they made purchases, and just having that data has allowed us to generate AI-driven content through marketing. And then, one more would be kind of our next step, which is creating basically sales reps that are AI driven. So now that's where the product data comes in, where we have the proper product data and the proper knowledge base. And now if our AI can see and read all of that, it can start to make recommendations to customers who are maybe more like me. I prefer to just shop on my own. And when I'm on a website, I'd rather it if, the chatbot could just tell me what I need to do. And so that's the experience that we're building. Not all of that's in place yet. Not all of it started, but those are the different AI initiatives that we're putting in place. And what we didn't want was, you've heard some of these horror stories from some of these companies that tried to be early adopters of leveraging AI. I think there was one airline industry that had the bot had told the customer that they could get free flights for life or something, and because it said that, they were legally obligated to actually do that. So we want to make sure that our AI is grounded in our data to be able to tell customers the right answer for a service and know when to hand it off to a real person, and to be able to make recommendations in sales and be able to market to customers in a more personalized way. And that's where we've started with AI. Also, social media content, but that wasn't really related to what we've done with MuleSoft.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. So this is a quick question. Artur, and maybe I can help a little bit. So he's asking, have you configured your agent? Will you configure your agent when you're building it through Salesforce or through MuleSoft? We have this new project AI because it's so new. I don't think Zach is implementing it via the AI chain project, but maybe you can speak to, do you plan to use it through Agentforce? It sounds like you do, which is built on the Salesforce platform.
Yeah. So currently, that's the approach that we're taking for service and sales. We also have a couple of other unique use cases that may take a different approach, specifically on the BDL side, where we have to evaluate things like product specs, right? And so since there's so much custom product there, we have to sort of bring our own model, or have a model that is able to evaluate those specifications. And that may be one that's maybe more tailored to MuleSoft AI chain. I can't speak to that too much yet, as Isabella said, because I'm not super nuanced in that piece. But yeah, right now at Capital, we're focused on Agentforce through Salesforce.
Awesome. Okay, and with that, we'll probably go ahead and wrap up. Although if folks have additional questions, Rajiv, you and I are going to probably connect offline. If you do have additional questions moving forward, feel free to reach out to me, and I can go ahead and forward them to Zach. But again, just wanted to thank our presenter, Zach, for being with us here today after he's had quite an adventurous last few weeks. We appreciate you being here. And to our audience, thank you so much for coming today. Thank you so much for your insightful questions. And we hope to see you at our future Dreamforce tour sessions in the future. Great. With that, have a great day, everybody.